I feel like the invitation process is the most important thing that we can do as business builders, because we can have the best products in the world, and there's no question that we do. But if we can't invite people to take a look at them, if we can't invite people to take a look at our business model, then we as a company are not going to grow. So the invitation and mastering that is going to be huge for us. So we've set up a little bit of a process for everyone to learn how to do that. But there's a couple of things that I want to go over with everybody before we touch on the invitation process. And I want to hit on it because there's things that you want to do and be aware of as you go through the invitation, that you just want to start to make the art of the invitation a part of your personality. You know, it becomes something that you just need to start to live and breathe. And if you're going to do this as a business, making it part of your personality is going to be really, really important for you moving forward. And how do you make that a part of your personality? What do you do? You know, for somebody like me, it comes natural. I've been in the supplement sales industry for a long time, and it's just something that I've learned, gotten better at, failed at a few times, gotten better at, keep learning. And I've developed some tips and tricks that I'm doing to help myself get better that I'm going to share with you guys in a little bit. But the core of that was I took an interest in people. And if you're going to build this as a business, you've got to be interested in people, because you want to invite people to take a look at this. If you're not interested in talking to people, you're probably not going to build a very big business, and you're not going to get too many customers buying the product. So that interest in people has to be there. I know for some people that doesn't come naturally, but it's something that you can start to develop as you work through this so that you can get better at it. What happens is if you don't have that interest in people, and if you don't make this part of your personality, you start to limit who you talk to. And when you limit who you talk to, you can only be so successful. If you're a part of a gym and your gym's got 100 members in it, and you go to a class and you only go to that one class every week, and you never talk to anybody outside of your class, and you join Team XND, and you're like, well, I want to get my network on board with Team XND. Well, you've got one class, you've got maybe 15 people in your class, and you just never broaden your horizons or made the effort to talk to anybody. If you limit that, you're only going to grow so big. And then let's say you take it to your gym, you limit it to your gym, you're only going to go so big from there. So you really start to limit who you talk to, and then that's not a good thing. And then people limit who they talk to because they have that fear of rejection. You know, and that fear of rejection comes into play because you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to have somebody say no. I remember the first time somebody told me no when I tried to sell a supplement. It felt like I got punched in the gut. But I got over it, and I realized that that's not the thing I should focus on. And what has really helped with this, and as a part of Xendurance, the company, and I feel like I can speak for Sandy when I say this, the company was founded with an incredible amount of integrity. The company as a whole is so focused on making quality products that have the most bioavailable ingredients at research dosages. So what that means is our products are actually going to work. And there's an integrity behind that, because we're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. We're not trying to pull a fast one. There's no misleading things on our marketing. There's no misleading things on our packaging. So with that integrity, it kind of helps with those other 4 things on this list. The fear of rejection is lessened because you have an integrity behind what it is you're talking about. And when you feel like you have actually good products that you're trying to sell, that fear starts to lessen, because if they don't like it, you know you're selling good stuff. So it's not as big a deal. It doesn't bother you. You're not as scared, because if somebody turns you down, no big deal. You're still selling good product. And then you don't limit as many people as you're talking to, because you want to talk to everybody, because now the integrity that's been established by Xendurance, the company, just passes on to you. And now you can use that to feel better about the things that you're talking about. And then you can talk to more people, because you start to see that these products are helping change lives from a health perspective. You take a better interest in other people that you're talking to, because it's all part of helping them change their lives. And you see something that they're doing, and you see a product that we have that would fit to help them change. You take a little bit more of an interest, and then now it's a part of your personality. So these are all great things that you do before the invitation process to kind of prime the pump and get yourself ready for these conversations with the invitation. And then, so what that kind of sums it all up is having meaningful conversations with people. And what do I mean by meaningful conversations? When you interact with somebody, if you go at it from a mindset of what's in it for me, what am I going to get away from this? It might be a meaningful conversation for you, but it's probably not so meaningful for them. And so if you can get into these conversations with people of having a meaningful perspective for them, it's going to make it a better situation. And how do you do that? How do you have a meaningful conversation or meaningful interaction with people? It's very simple. And I kind of get on a soapbox when I talk about this sometimes, because you just want to be kind to people. You got to be kind. Like if you're going to talk to somebody about an opportunity with a product, if you want somebody to learn more about it, if you come in it being a jerk, they're probably not going to listen. So you got to be kind. That's a foundation. You want to be present in that conversation. If you're having a face-to-face conversation and you're not paying attention to them, you're playing on your phone or whatever it is, when they're talking, you're probably not going to be very successful with that conversation or growing that relationship. You want to be brave. And by that, I mean, have courage, the courage to step out of your comfort zone. One thing I talk with Dr. Steve about a lot is being comfortable at being uncomfortable, right? So if you're uncomfortable in a situation, that probably means it's a good thing. So you got to get comfortable with that. So be brave, have those conversations. And then you want to be who you want to see, right? So if you want somebody to have a conversation with you, be attentive, listen to you, you want to embody that. You want to model that, right? So, because it's way easier to have a conversation with somebody when you're doing all of these things, and it makes for a much more meaningful reaction or a meaningful interaction, so that you can now approach them about the products that you're taking or the business opportunity that you have. So you're with that stuff, you're laying the foundation of, now we have a rapport, we have a relationship, we can now talk about the rest of this stuff. And that goes with everything that you meet from new people to people you've known forever. Those things can all be implemented. And kind of a sneaky little tip that I have tricked myself into doing to make me more having more meaningful conversations is very simply just, when you're walking down the street, and this is a super simple thing to do that can just kind of start a snowball effect. If you're walking down the street and you're the only one, and there's one other person coming towards you, and you guys are the only people for like a mile, and we all are about to do that thing where we look this way and look this way, or look at our phones and pretend like we don't see that person that's coming down the street. Very simply, to have a meaningful interaction, to just start to groom yourself to get more comfortable with this, just say, hey, how's it going? And just keep walking. You know what I mean? You don't have to stop and have that long drawn out conversation or anything like that. But if you're a little intimidated with starting that conversation, that's a simple way to do it. Another simple way, if you're out to dinner, you go out to eat and you're sitting at a restaurant and the waitress comes up and says, hi, my name's so-and-so, and I'm going to be your waitress tonight. Say back to them, hi, my name's Mike, and nice to meet you. You know, like just a simple thing like that to start that conversation, which opens up that invitation process so you get more comfortable just talking to people. And then what that translates to is, if you're more comfortable with everyday interactions, this invitation process isn't as scary. You're a little more comfortable with that, and it makes it easier for you to now go into the invitation process, right? So what is the invitation process? Let's dig into that. We want to make sure that we're going through the invitation process and covering everything that it takes to invite somebody to take a look at our products. So the first thing is, in the invitation process, it's about the who, right? You're going to think about who it is you're talking to. You want to go through your contact list, your social media list, your gym, your church, your networking groups, whatever it may be. Think about that kind of stuff. Then you want to think about the how. How are you going to connect with these people? It's face-to-face connection is something that in our culture is lacking to a certain extent. And I would say that that's probably the best way to do it. That's why these Zoom calls are so important, is we can connect face-to-face and we can have a conversation, even though we're all in different parts of the country. These face-to-face interactions make for a much more valuable interaction, right? A meaningful interaction for us. So that's going to be the best way, in my opinion. Not to downplay the other options though. A phone, text, email. I can't tell you how much work I get accomplished via text message. Taylor and I work together pretty closely, and I text him all day. Sometimes, we'll text all day long sometimes, even though he's supposed to be in school. So we will text back and forth, and I've had plenty of luck and plenty of success helping people get started with their Team XND business via text message or via email. So those are definitely solid options that you can do. And as you're getting more comfortable with this invitation process, you can lean on those. But ultimately, to really build that connection, I feel like that face-to-face interaction is going to be your best bet, whether it be via a FaceTime call, a Zoom call, or in person, if the person you're working with is local to you. Okay. So then the next thing is, what are you going to talk about when you get somebody? Well, obviously it's going to be a circumstantial deal. So if you're getting with a new person, you're going to go back to all the stuff that I just talked about, from the meaningful conversations. You want to build a rapport with them. You want to ask them questions, get to know them a little bit. Don't just go for the jugular right away. You're not just trying to go in and sell product and sell product and sell product, or invite them to take a look at our business. You want to have a meaningful interaction with them. And, maybe the first time you talk to that person isn't the right time to tell them about Team XND. You want to go back to them again, and it's going to be way more genuine that way. And sure, I get that you want to drive your business and you want to get as many sales as you can right away, but to do that comes across very disingenuous if you're just going for the throat right away. So there's definitely a way that you can get to that and get to the point of inviting them to take a look at the business in that first interaction, but don't make that the sole focus, because then it comes from a very negative place. Okay. So with a new person, that's what you're going to do. With somebody that you've known for a while, what are you going to talk about? Again, it's circumstantial based on who they are, what their situation is, how you know them. But the things you really want to think about when you're inviting somebody to take a look at this business model, you want to compliment them first. So that's the thing. And if you have a conversation with somebody, you can talk to them for 20 minutes about life and catching up and all that kind of stuff. But when you actually get into the invitation process, it should be pretty quick. You don't want to dwell on it, because if you dwell on it, then you're trying to oversell the business, and then it comes across like you're trying too hard, and then it's less believable and stuff like that. So start the process out with, hey, this is why I thought of you. Like if I talk to my buddy Pat, who is he's a great salesman. He's been a salesman for a long time. I'm very confident that he would be successful in this. And I also know that he's struggling week to week to pay the bills and to support his family and stuff. And he could use some extra income. So I'm going to compliment him by saying, hey man, like I was thinking about this. I think you'd be a great person to get started with this, because I see how good you are at sales, and these products are awesome. This opportunity is awesome. I 100% believe in it, but just telling them why I thought of them. Neil is on this call right now, and I talked to him, and why I thought of him to be a part of Team XND was just that. Like, he has a background in supplements. He owns a gym. He's a personal trainer. Like, he has that background. So talking to him about why I feel like he'd be a good fit, that's the best place to start. Then you want to create some curiosity around what it is you're doing. You don't want to oversell it, and you don't want to tell too much, because they're not going to remember everything. And the best thing to do would be to create that little bit of curiosity, and then control yourself. You don't want to dump on them and tell them everything there is, because they're just not going to process it all. And then set up another conversation for later to dig in more if they're interested. If you go through the conversation and you see, you know what, you thought that this was a business opportunity for somebody, but you know what, after the quick invitation, they just are not interested, then you can decide where you want to invite them to go. You either want to invite them to take a look at the business if they're interested in that. And you can, if they're not, you just got to figure out exactly what's going to be the best option to come across with the most integrity. Because if you just constantly go for the business, even though he told me that I just don't want to do the business, I have no time for the business, and you just keep going for it, then it makes you look bad, and then you just kind of burned a relationship. So with the nice thing about this is, with our products, you can always invite people to take a look at our products. Always. It doesn't matter who they are, what situation they're in, they can always take a look at our products, because like I've said before on these videos, is everybody can benefit from taking one of our products in some way, shape, or form. So that's what makes this whole invitation process easy. If you go into it thinking, I'm going to get this, I'm going to tell this person about the business, and they're going to be so fired up and they're going to be ready to go, but they're just not. Instead of letting that take the wind out of your sales, you then just say, all right, well, that's cool. No problem. We still have the best products, and I would love for you to take a look at them. If there's one you want to try, just let me know. I'll send it to you. Or, hey, try this one if you know their situation, and tell them a little bit more about why, but you can always go back to the products. So it's super important with the invitation process that you always keep that in mind as to where you can go and what conversation points you have. And then you can make sure that you're keeping your integrity. I can't stress how important the integrity of what we're doing here is, so that you're making yourself look good, making me look good, making the company look good, making Sandy look good, because we, as a core group of Xendurance people that were a part of the company before the new business model launched, we want to maintain that integrity that we've had. We've always come from a place of, we want to help people change their health and wellness through using our products, because we know that they'll work. And so it's always been about that for us. Yes, the money's there, and we all love to make money, and that's great. But if you come at it from a place of that, with that invitation, it will come through the invitation process that you're only focused on getting this person to buy product to make money for you, not that you actually care about what's going on with them. So it's something that you just want to make sure that you keep in mind. Yeah, I can't stress it enough, because the integrity is huge, and it's nice because we have good products. So that's the invitation process. That's how you go through it. That's how I want you to think about this. Just always constantly be aware of who it is you're talking to, and trying to help them, not necessarily trying to monetize them, trying to help them live a healthier life.